Here's a question that I recently received from Rochelle. I would love to hear advice on how to not lose your identity in motherhood, especially if you add another baby into the mix. Well, this is a great question, and I think that a lot of people can relate to this. Once you become a mom, you feel like you don't know who you are anymore. Like, what happened to pre-baby you? It's still in there somewhere and you kind of feel lost. And so today I really want to address this question, and if this is something that you have struggled with or thought about or wonder as you become a parent one day, or if you're not a parent quite yet, then make sure you keep watching. But first, hello and welcome. My name is Julie. I hold a doctorate in occupational therapy, and I coach moms to go from feeling overwhelmed and kind of chaotic in their minds and their days to feeling a lot more calm, confident, and happy in their parenting. Because as I say all the time, childhood doesn't keep. This is a phase of life, and I want you to be able to enjoy it as much as possible. And I believe by you enjoying your life and being happy in yourself, that automatically benefits your children. So if this is content that you are enjoying, make sure that you subscribe, like, share this video with anyone who could benefit. And one more thing, I have a newsletter and a podcast, I guess two more things, that go out weekly. So make sure you are subscribed or signed up to those. All the details are in the description box. And if you ever have any topics that you would like me to answer, just like how Rochelle sent me this message, then make sure you send me a comment or a private message on Instagram, a DM, and then I can definitely make a video based on your question, and we can go from there. All right, so let's jump into the video. So this question really got my wheels turning, which I really like. I like those questions that you have to dive in. Identity is something a little bit tricky because it really determines your behavior. Let's use the healthy person example. If you don't identify as someone who is healthy or who makes healthy choices, aka has healthy behavior, no matter how many diets you try or gym routines or different types of fads and things, you will never get to be that healthy person if you don't inside believe or have the identity of a healthy person, because having that identity will dictate your behavior. Someone who identifies as a healthy person is someone who's likely to drink more water or not to smoke, or someone who's likely to, control their alcohol use or how much sugar they eat, because they consider themselves at their core, their belief is that they are healthy. That is their identity. And it's the same with anything else. And so that's why I think this question is really, really thought-provoking, because it's going to really challenge who we believe we are as it relates to motherhood and parenting. So in this case, now you've taken on a major new role, and it's kind of a chicken and egg, because if you don't identify as a mom, you're not going to do things that moms do. But you also are the same person to a degree that you were before you had a child, and you have that identity of being like a non-parenting person. And how do you blend the two together and be happy and satisfied in your choice or situation to have a baby? I think where people trip up is that we get overwhelmed by the concept of mom. And hey, I've been there, and I'm still there sometimes. It is such an overwhelming life change, unlike many others, that it is really hard to separate yourself from that of being a mom. But you need to remember that it is a new role that you've taken on. It's not completely erasing the past. It is like a new job. It doesn't mean you are that job or that is the only thing that you do in life. And sometimes it can feel like that when you have a baby, that this is the only thing that you do. But we must remember that we are multifaceted. We take on many roles, and we have to blend this both and concept of being an autonomous person, a grown-up that looks after themselves, has their own interests, likes, dislikes, desires, all that kind of stuff. And we take on the role of being a mom, and we have that identity as well, because as I said, if you don't have the identity of being a mother, you're not going to carry out the behaviors that a mother does. And so you want to have a healthy relationship with what it means to identify as a mom, but also not to completely lose yourself in the process. And I think a lot of the videos that I put out on this channel and the podcasts that I produce and that kind of thing, it's to help you find yourself find your way back to yourself, it admits the context of being a mom. Like, you can be a mom and you can be someone that enjoys cooking or working out or hanging out with their friends, has a career, has hobbies. You can do all of these things. Sometimes you can't do them all at once, but you can still tap into different aspects of your identity and personality even when you have children. So the question that Rochelle submitted is how to not lose your identity. And I would reframe this as not saying that you're losing an identity, but that you're gaining a new layer to your identity. You know, a lot of people will talk about how, you know, motherhood changed them forever. And that is true, but if you really unpack that, it's that it gave them a new perspective. It made them dig deep in and of themselves. That part was always there, but it needed an opportunity to come back out. It makes them grow. We always grow during challenging times. Otherwise, we would never grow and evolve, right? So it's really important that we don't think of our journey into motherhood as losing ourselves. Yes, it can feel like that, but we're in there. We can grieve parts of our old life and move on from that and know that this is just not the time. But we can also embrace our motherhood identity as being like another layer of paint. It doesn't mean that the other layers are not there still. What I would also say is ways to tap back into your identity are things like using your time efficiently, getting good sleep so that you have more to give, and when you feel ready, so when you're past that sort of brand new baby fog, or now you've introduced a new baby and you've got 2 kids, when you feel ready, start small. Doesn't mean, you know, you used to be a previous marathon runner and now you want to run a marathon 3 months postpartum. That might not be realistic for you, but going for a walk might be. Maybe it's going for a walk by yourself without children, you know, just experiencing that. Starting a new hobby, or starting, you know, going back to the hobbies that you used to have before. It's this delicate balance of not getting stuck where you feel like your whole life has changed, and not in a good way, but more how can we incorporate things that you really enjoyed from your previous life into your current day. And one gift that I feel like motherhood really gives us is this appreciation for time and the importance of, you know, making things count, realizing that our time is more precious now than it used to be. We can't waste it, and we really need to be intentional about how we spend it. And I think that's kind of an amazing thing. I mean, the quote goes, you know, to get something done, give it to a busy person. Who's busier than a mom? And really you start to learn how to prioritize what is really important to you, because your time is so valuable and so limited. So starting off really, really small, reducing that crazy expectation that life is not going to change. I definitely had that. I had this thought I was just going to go straight back into what I was doing pre-baby. That is not what happened. Everything changed for me. But once you marry that expectation versus reality, you're going to find that you're going to be a lot happier, right? Because when we expect too much and what actually happens is so different in our minds than what really, really happens, that's when we feel, you know, unhappy, discontent. And so the same with identity. We want to slowly incorporate things that we really enjoy to start get our old identity, to just uncover, peel back a paint layer while we are having. Another thing that I think we need to focus on is dropping the guilt. Like, you don't have to be with your children 24/7. You can have pockets of time that are for you. And there's such a big range, right, of how many hours people spend out of the home. If you're a stay-at-home mom, and that's why especially you feel like your identity is really, really if you're a stay-at-home mom and you really feel like your identity is challenged because all it seems that you're doing is momming, taking an hour for yourself once a day or a couple of hours a week, you know, a few nights a week is important for you, because you don't want to be this kind of grumpy, you know, this mom that's like, that blames their children for being alive. You don't want to be that person. You want to feel excited to see your kids, and sometimes that means doing something else for a little bit, taking some time. But in my experience, if you don't create that time or ask for it, it's not going to happen. You know, you're an adult, and even though you're in a position where you feel overwhelmed, sometimes you have to step up and say, hey, I need this. I need 1 hour to go for a walk by myself, or I need an hour to start working on this project that I hope turns into something bigger, or I'm looking to start getting back into the workforce slowly, but I need to figure it out. I need this time. Asking and advocating for yourself is really, really important. We would want our children to do the same, and I think we need to do that for ourselves instead of expecting people to, give us the time when they don't really know what we need. So this is something that I really think you need to consider in a way to make sure you maintain your identity in motherhood. I say this a lot, I'm really a big fan of early bedtime, early waking up, and I try my best. I don't always get this right, but if you can wake up before your children so that you can have that time to yourself, so it's not just that you're always running on empty and trying to always catch up. If you can wake up a little bit earlier so that you can read that book that you want to read, or just have some time to yourself without anybody asking for your attention, this is going to help you recenter yourself, go back to who you are, and give you time to think. I spent so much of my time and my life filling it up with stuff and feeling guilty if I was not doing anything. And I'm really trying this year to rest intentionally and just do nothing sometimes, have nothing on the calendar, have nothing scheduled, so that, inspiration can come to me, I can feel creative, I can have that space to think and breathe, because with children, at least for me, I feel very overwhelmed by the noise and chaos sometimes, which is just inherent with families, and it's wonderful, and it's also very stimulating, especially for someone like me. I feel like I get overstimulated very quickly, and so I need that peace and quiet to just center myself back again and help me lock in with who I am. And this helps to strengthen my identity as an individual in amongst the chaos of being a mom sometimes. Now, something that I haven't done a lot of, I've done it occasionally, but probably not enough, is if you're feeling ready, take a good chunk of time. Like if you have the luxury of grandparents or family to help you with kids, and they're willing and happy and able to look after your kids for a night, or perhaps it's just you that leaves and your spouse takes care of the kids, take the opportunity if you feel like it's right for you. I still have she's not even 2 yet, a 1.5-year-old baby, and I haven't left her overnight. I don't feel ready or have the occasion really to do it yet, but I think eventually I will do that, and I think it'll be really, really helpful. So as you feel ready and able, take time away so that you can have perspective, so that you can kind of center back in on yourself and take a big chunk of time where you are gone for 24 hours or 48 hours. If your family circumstances permit that, you have people to look after your kids, go away by yourself, go away with your partner, do what you can just to kind of center yourself. And I think that'll also be really, really helpful. So how about you? Do you ever feel lost in motherhood? Do you feel like your identity is threatened? Do you agree that identity dictates behavior? What are your behaviors right now? If you want to know what your identity is, look at what you do on a day-to-day basis, and it will give you some clues. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and share it with anyone out there who may be asking the same kind of questions or may find this information interesting. Don't forget to check out all those links down below. Let me know if there's anything specific you would like me to cover in my upcoming videos. Remember, Mama, you got this, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.